Larry Haas is standing by, U.S. political commentator. He used to work in the White House many moons ago. He's nowadays with the American Foreign Policy Council. Larry, how significant is this?
I think it's quite significant, not just for the United States, but for Canada. I was very impressed with the lineup in that press conference, the variety of different departments that were represented there, making clear that this is an extremely significant and important move by the Trump administration in its escalating tensions with China. But like you said, Todd, I was very struck by how U.S. officials went out of their way to compliment Canada for its steadfastness and its cooperation with the United States. And obviously, that raises the stakes in the current tensions between Canada and China, and also puts enormous pressure on Canada in the upcoming request from the United States to extradite Meng Wanzhou. So I don't think that while we are complimenting you greatly in terms of your values and your actions, obviously this is only going to put you in an increasingly tough situation between the United States and China as part of this larger struggle between the world's two superpowers.
And Larry, I've got one of the indictments here. This is the one relating to Seattle in front of me. The other one from New York has yet to be sent out. But basically, what the United States is alleging is that Huawei is guilty of theft of trade secrets, wire fraud, obstruction of justice. That relates to what the U.S. is saying was the theft of robotic technology from T-Mobile in Seattle, Washington. The Chinese engineers with Huawei stole that technology. But in the case of the New York indictment, which is coming out any moment now, this has to do with Meng Wanzhou, who, as you know, is something of royalty in China. She is the daughter of the founder of Huawei, and this has led to such outrage by the Chinese. Now that we see the Trump administration, Larry, effectively doubling down on this, what do you think the reaction is going to be from Beijing?
Explosive. They are going to become increasingly unhappy. I suspect, because they don't like to be pushed around, they're going to dig in even harder. I don't know what the actual next step is going to be, but I expect there to be something retaliatory. And by the way, while I'm predicting that the Chinese are not going to be happy, I'm not suggesting, I want to be clear, I'm not suggesting that the United States is doing anything wrong. I take these officials at their word that these charges are based on hard evidence. We have known for a long time, on a whole variety of fronts, that China is taking steps that threaten U.S. national security, tapping into websites and surveilling all sorts of officials and institutions. So I'm not suggesting that Washington has anything to apologize for, but the result is obviously going to be escalated tensions. And as I said before, in terms of our friends north of the border, Canada being put in an increasingly tough position in between these two rival powers.
Yeah, really getting squeezed. And we know there are, in fact, lives on the line. There are Canadians being held against their will in China. Larry, you're familiar with that. So let me ask you this now. There are those who say this is all part of the art of the deal, so to speak. We've got major trade negotiations going on right now between the United States and China. The U.S. Could be using all of this as a bargaining chip. What do you think?
I have to tell you that while that could be an element of what's going on, I don't think the FBI would allow itself to be used that way. And, you know, if it was only, and I don't think the Justice Department would either, if it was only a series of really political officials standing on that podium, then maybe I'd buy that argument. But I have to tell you that with the FBI and the Justice Department and all of the people involved in this, I think this is much more straightforward. I think this Chinese company and this Chinese individual are suspected of committing some very serious crimes, and I think the United States is pursuing this in a legal matter, although I certainly understand the political implications of it.
Larry, wonderful to have you with us as we're quarterbacking our coverage on this breaking news. Thank you.